This is the portfolio rubric guidance for Standard 1.FL.PWR.3. Know and apply grade level phonics and word analysis skills when decoding isolated words and connected text. For this standard, we are focusing on the letter B, decode regularly spelled one-syllable words. To assess this standard, you will assess the student's ability to read CVC words. Once the student is able to read all 10 CVC words, you can move to assessing the student's ability to read closed syllable words. Once students have mastered reading the 10 closed syllable words, you can move to assessing the student's ability to read 5 different syllable type words. When students are successful at this, then you can move to the second grade standard, assessing the student's ability to read 2-syllable words with long vowels. For each one of these levels, you will provide the student with a word list. This can either be on flashcards or a list of words on paper. It must include 10 words, and they must follow the guidelines for the level. The teacher will ask the student to read those words. Students can sound the words out, they can decode, before they say the word if they need it. In the suggested task, you will see that we have provided an example word list in the rubric. You are not required to use the words in the rubric, but if you choose to use your own words, they must be 10 words and they must follow those guidelines for the levels. When collecting your evidence, it is required that you collect a video recording. The video recording should show the student reading the word list. If you do not use the words in the rubric, you must also include your answer key, which is the list of the 10 words that you gave the student to read. This is a verbal assessment for all the levels, and it must be assessed to the students individually. Once you have collected your evidence, then it's time to move to the rubric to score the student work. If the student is unable to read any of the words from the CVC word list, that is the level 0. If the students can read 3 words, that is a level 1. If they cannot read at least 3 of the words, if they only read 1 or 2, that goes back to the score of a 0. If the student is able to read 5 words correctly, that is a score of a level 2. If the student can read all 10 words correctly, that is the score of a level 3. If they cannot read 10, but they read more than 5, that is the score of a level 2. It must be all 10 CVC words read correctly to be a 3. Once students have mastered this standard, reading 10 CVC words at level 3, you can move to assessing the students on the closed syllable words. In order to score at level 4, they must be able to read all 10 closed syllable words. If they do not master all 10 of these words, then you need to submit evidence at level 3. If they can read all 10 of the words, you can move to assessing at level 5. These are 10 words that have the 5 syllable types listed in the rubric. If the student can read all 10 of these words, that is the score of a level 5. At level 6 and 7, the students are able to read 2-syllable words that have long vowels. If they can read at least 5 of those 10, that's the score of a level 6. If they can read all 10 of the 2-syllable words with long vowels, that is the score of a level 7.